When I was 6 years old, my school music program was putting on a musical. And kids, get all excited for all of that all the time. And I was pumped. So they brought us into the theater. It was my first time actually being on a stage. They handed us these little bells, and they gave us a line, a piece of paper. And they told us, practice your line. But as a kid, I was more interested in the bells. So I went home, practiced on them all the time. And when the day finally came for our show, we started jamming out on the little bells, kids were laughing, and we were just playing. And it was my turn to go up to the microphone. So I walk up to it, and I just froze. And I just stared at the crowd. And I looked at my teacher that was to the side, and she tried whispering my line to me. But I was just in shock that I couldn't hear what she was saying. So I did whatever came first in my head. I improvised. So I shook the bells, did something crazy. After my 3-second little solo, I waved and said bye. I walked back to my seat, but before I reached my seat, the crowd stood up and started cheering and applauding really loud. And I realized that it's a great experience to be in front of something like that. And it made me realize music really is a powerful thing, no matter what it sounds like. So, today, I would like to convince you that schools should still have music programs. As far as credibility, I've helped teach kids how to read music, how to play it, and some of them have actually continued their education in music and have become young musicians. And I'm sure some of us have actually been on stage, not maybe for a musical, but maybe for receiving an award or whatever it was for. And we know what it's like to stand in front of a crowd, the feeling of just the excitement. Now today, I'll be talking about how music programs, how kids express themselves, how it helps academically, and how taking out music programs can affect kids. So first of all, I would like to talk to you about how kids can express themselves in music programs. Music is always a way to express yourself. It's a feeling, it's what is around you, and most importantly, it's you. A quote by Dr. Eric Rasmussen of the Early Childhood Music Department at the Peabody Preparatory of the Johns Hopkins University states, "The benefit of music education for me is about being musical. It gives you a better understanding of yourself. The horizons are higher when you are involved in music. Your understanding of art and the world, how you think and express yourself are just enhanced." Music programs give kids a chance to take all of their negative emotion and channel it into something positive, something that makes them more artistic, something that just makes them creative. Kids learn music background, culture, the types of music, and they get to experience by just watching videos, traveling to sites, and learning about it. Learning an instrument is like riding a bike. You can either be a natural at it, or you're gonna have to put some dedication towards it. But in the end, you're always gonna remember it. A statistic from a nationwide survey by the Gallup organization shows that 95% of Americans believe that music is a key component in a child's education. Kids who are involved in music programs also become more socially connected with other kids around them, because every kid is expressing themselves, and when kids express themselves, they find interest in everybody else. Now that I've explained how music programs help kids express themselves, I would now like to talk to you about how it helps them academically. Music has the benefit of helping kids achieve academic success. Studies have shown that the brain of musicians think and act differently as opposed to those who don't do things musically and express themselves any way. Another quote from Dr. Eric Rasmussen, he states, "There's good neuroscience research that children involved in music have larger growth in neuroactivity than people not in music training. When you're a musician and you're playing an instrument, you have to be using more of your brain." And I agree with this because there's a lot of complicated pieces of music out there, and it requires a lot of practice every day. A lot of things, and it's all timing, it's like math. Kids who are in music programs are more focused on education and develop higher IQs. This is because you use the creative side of your brain, which is the left hemisphere, which has to do with talking and just development itself with creativity. According to the College Board, students who take 4 years of art and music classes while in high school scored 91 points better on their SAT exams than students who take only half or less. Now, scores are on average for musicians, their score usually an average of 1070, as opposed to students who are not in academic art classes or music classes that scored 979. Music has the benefit of increasing memory, because you're remembering, you're expanding your mind, and it helps while you're in school a lot too, because it generates recall, which in psychology is when you can remember something by just thinking of what it is, and boom, it's there. Music has helped kids from not dropping out of school, because the music arts are what they look forward to, rather than looking into a textbook all day. I wouldn't want to look into a textbook all day. I would at least want to have fun and have the chance to express myself while I'm in school, and actually do it with people that I love and that I'm around. Now that I've explained how music programs help academically, I would like to talk about how it affects kids when music programs are taken out of schools. Taking away music from schools hurts kids academically and mentally in the long run. It gives kids something to look forward to, rather than spending the whole time, like I said, in just textbooks. Dropout rates do increase when students don't have anything to do that aren't creative. I'm sure most of us get bored when we look into whatever we read that has to do with school. And as we continue, we always have to find a way to express ourselves. We always have something that we have to do to just let out whatever we have inside of us. So now that I've talked to you today about how music programs help kids, how they affect kids when they're taken out of schools, and how they help us academically. And I hope that I've convinced you, because I hope someday you guys would want to put your kids in school and go watch them in a musical someday up on stage, and have them experience what you guys felt when you were up there, or what you couldn't experience and would want them to experience. Me coming up in front of this class today is a form of art, because I'm using my voice and my expression and my hand gestures to let out what I want you to feel. So, that's all I have to say.
Should let them do what they want.
See the time. There's the time back. I was looking for it the whole time. I know.
Yeah.
Half a regular piece of meat.
Every year.
Olivia, what did you think?
I really like the attention vibes. I thought it was a good story, like it was really entertaining. I thought it really hooked the audience. And as far as the thesis statement, it was pretty direct that schools should have more music programs. Kind of take a side on that. It had good citations, had statistics or like surveys. They seemed credible. I felt like you needed to make a little more eye contact with the audience. Maybe just be a little more confident. And I like how you use like personal experience because you worked with like music and kids and stuff. And the conclusion, I thought it was good, but I just thought maybe you should like wrap it up a little more instead of saying that I'm done. But yeah, other than that, I thought it was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. Quirky Pig appears once again at the end of the speech, you know, and I get it. That's it. You know. So, but you did have a little bit of a summary. You need an exit line. You need come back to that story. So even though the little kid standing on the stage couldn't remember his line, he was still inspired enough for the music to inspire the audience there. That's what we should look forward to. I mean, come back to the story that you had at the beginning. Something that's a little bit more graceful instead of, I'm just out here. So, and you're going to leave us with a better impression. I like the story at the beginning that you told us. It does pull us in. It does take a long time to get through the story. It's 2 minutes, so it needs to go a little bit quicker so you can get to the point that you're making a little bit faster. There is a good preview of what you're going to be talking about. On the first point, I thought you cited some information pretty effectively. You've got a nice visualization about how music education is going to benefit people. I do think you need to demonstrate that there is a problem that's going on here, that music programs or some kind of arts programs are in fact being cut back or phased out, so that I know why it is you have to convince us of this. Because if 95% of the population thinks that music is essential to a good education, then why do you need to convince us? We're all sitting here, we're already on your side on this situation. The reason you need to convince us is because when choices are being made, music and arts programs are the ones that suffer. They're the, when there are budget crises or when there's a limit or whenever they have to cut back on something, that's the place they cut back on, and you're saying that's not what we ought to be doing. Okay, then it would be a lot clearer. Otherwise, like I said, you're preaching to the choir. I thought you, like I said, I did think that you cited some effective information. You give some personal ethos to the speech because of your experience and the background. I thought that helped. You've got a couple of nice visualizations, especially at the end, where you're thinking about your own kids being up there on the stage and identifying with that. I thought that worked pretty well. I tell you what, most of the time I thought your eye contact was pretty good. Whenever you have to go to the notes, though, you kind of get absorbed, and sometimes it's not even that you're still reading the quote. It's just you're thinking about and you're looking away from it. But when you're not doing that, you do okay talking to us. You do seem like you are a little bit. There are 4 people over on this side, and everybody else is over here, and I'm going to stay as far away from them as they can, sitting over there on the side. So you can use the room a little bit more. All right.